Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. I know it's a little early. It's 2 minutes early, but come on. Doesn't mean that we can't start the show. We already got some people here. Interplanetary Network is in the house. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Yes, we deny Mondays here until it's time to go inside the booty lounge. I still can't believe I named my production stream Inside the Booty Lounge. Gotta do it. I have to say lounge because otherwise people will think this is a not TOS compliant show. And you can see right there on the graphic, it says quality TOS compliant entertainment. And we're gonna stick by that. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are good boys and girls here. How are you all doing? What's going on? Explosive Radio's in the house. Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing? My goodness. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the bits already, my friend. This is one of the main reasons why I like Mondays now. At least Monday nights. You know, going to work 9 to 5 on a Monday is just, ooh, I don't know how people can do it. But somehow I did it for a while. I'm just glad I don't have to do that right now. Happy Place Traveler is in the house. How are you guys doing? How are you doing? So yeah, we're going to have another session here. We're going to go through some more remixes. I've dug up some more projects that I've been working on. One brand new one that I teased, I think, last week, and I have the full mix finished. And then I'm going to go through the vaults and find some other remixes as well. DJ Joey B is in the house. How are you? Welcome to the stream. 14 months in a row with the subscription. Really, really cool. Thank you so much for all that love and support. So yeah, I do this every time when I figure it must be the best thing to do when I first start is to just give like a very, very brief breakdown on this application here. Yeah, because Acid Pro has been around for a hot minute, but you know, people may not know it because it's not the most popular or the DAW that's most heavily advertised or anything like that, but it's been around for a bit. Since the late 90s with Sonic Foundry, they made this program, and it was one of the very first ones that could do some amazing things with loops. It was owned by Sony for a bit, and then, you know, Sony kind of did one or two things to it and then tried to bury it. You know, they didn't want to invest in it anymore, and the program almost pretty much died until Magix took it over, and they've been very adamant to do a lot of updates. They still need to do a Mac version, and I will say that to the end of until the very last breath, until my last breath. They got to do a Mac version, but you know, for the time being, it is a really nice DAW, and it does things with loops that so many other programs cannot do. And for people out there who have no idea what that's all about, we're just going to do something real quick. We're just going to drag whatever random loops that we want. First, we'll set the BPM. Let's set it for a fast one this time. Let's go 128. I haven't done a 128 thing in a long time. So we're just going to throw beats up there and press play. And you'll see that everything matches to the tempo here. 128 beats per minute. And you don't need any additional software to do it with. It does it all right here in the program itself. So we'll say we'll have this start this first loop right here. And we'll turn on the loop right here. We'll just press play. Looks like we got drums. We got congas. That's nice. I'm glad when congas are like the first thing I find. It's a good night. It's definitely going to be a good night. So let's stay in this folder. Loop Masters Disco House. So let's find another drum loop and just add it there. No, that's definitely a kick. Not sure what it's going to sound like, but let's put them all together and see what happens. Okay, we got to turn this up. Make sure to turn up the preview on this one as well, because that way we can hear the loops a little bit better when they come in. And yeah, That's how easy it is to start making tracks with Acid Pro. You can just take whatever loops you have and start layering things together. And whatever sounds cool to you, you get to run with. So we're going to go into a completely different folder and let's see here. Pick something completely at random. We'll take this. And we'll just draw that and see exactly what it sounds like. And remember, it's going to stretch that also to the BPM, which is 128 BPM. And let's see what it sounds like. That actually doesn't sound too bad. Yes, Happy Place Traveler with a question. Let's actually address that. Are there similarities between this and GarageBand? Coincidental? I don't think it's coincidental. I mean, when Acid Pro came out, it really shook up things, and people realized that a program like this would make a hell of a lot of sense. Now, ironically, I will spill the tea a little bit on this. I'm not sure if a lot of people know, but before Apple made GarageBand, they made a program called Soundtrack. And Soundtrack actually did a lot of what Acid Pro did, but they didn't want to promote that as just a music production tool and DAW, not by itself. They tried to do a whole bunch of different things with it. In fact, I actually had produced tracks in Soundtrack before they actually went GarageBand, and I thought Soundtrack was slightly better. It was almost similar to what you see now with Adobe Audition, with some of their processing tools and things like that. But yeah, Soundtrack was really, really cool. And that was their first attempt at really doing a music-based program with loops and things like that. And they sold royalty-free samples and things like that. They sold these really good kits. And they were all WAV files, similar to what you would see in Acid Pro. And yeah, they did that. It wasn't as popular as some of the other DAWs for obvious reasons. But then, GarageBand came about and they brought out Logic, and, the rest is history. In fact, a lot of the sound effects in GarageBand were originally made during the days of Soundtrack. So, Explosive Radio, guess there's not a bunch of... Why would there be garden tools inside the booty lounge? Don't answer that question. This is a TOS compliant stream. But anyhow, yeah. Believe it or not, yeah. GarageBand being similar to Acid Pro, I mean, I think a lot of programs out there realize being able to just take loops and just automatically have them match without having to use Rewire and all these other different stretching tools just made it a lot easier. You focus more on your sequences and you focus less on the processes and doing all these different things with it, because, that can just that can just drain all your energy. If you had to sit there and just remap every loop and talk, you spend more hours doing that and less time sequencing and composing. And that's not too much fun, But anyhow, that's just a general idea of what Acid Pro does. I mean, there's so many other things it can do. It has MIDI instruments, and you can also record directly into it, and it also handles video as well. But those are different discussions for different days. I think I have some fun things to show you guys. I got 4 tracks. 4 tracks I'm going to show you. Remixes one that I just recently finished. 3 that were done in the past. And then we're going to go back to our production sets. We now have 2 of them, and they're sounding pretty good. I think on one of them, I definitely want to add a nice bass line and possibly stretch it out just a little bit more. And again, if we finish a track here, if we finish a track on this stream, I will give out a free copy to everyone who subscribes to the channel. And so far we got quite a few subscribers. I gotta look at the number again, but we got quite a few, which is nice, and I'm glad I got the support in that level. But yeah, free music that you won't have to worry about mutes or takedowns, DMCA or anything like that, and we're making it here on the platform, on Twitch. Not a bad deal. Let's see, DJ Joey B. As the years has gone by, the similarities in the DAWs have increased drastically. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because it just becomes, certain things just become so common, and people are always asking for like a lot of the similar things. It doesn't matter what program it is. You know, people needed to use loops. People just wanted to use them because it sped up production so much. So yeah, I'm not surprised that every program can actually do something like Acid Pro now. It would be really ridiculous right now if we're in 2022 and you have Logic and they're still trying to force you to do the things Logic had you doing back before they were even purchased by Apple. Gotta do something new. Gotta keep pushing the envelope a little bit. But anyhow, let's go to one of the very first projects I want to show you tonight. And believe it or not, this is actually the brand new one. I teased this about a week and a half ago, and I think on my Friday stream, Friday night, I played this for the very first time. I ended the set with it. I did a world debut as an ending song. Its main reason why is because it's down tempo, and I didn't want to like slow down the music during the middle of the show just to play it. But I'm going to play it in its entirety right now. This is one of my favorite. I always say that about like a lot of alternative rock groups, but this really is. I do love this group. They're called the Wombats. And yeah, I listen to a lot of their music, and I've been in love with this song since I first heard it back in 2017, 2018. And I always said to myself I wanted to remix this. And I knew it was going to be a little difficult to do. It has the guitar, it's a little melodic. So, and you can't really speed it up to traditional house speeds without it sounding a little too chipmunky, way too rushed with the vocal. It was initially 105 BPM, so I bumped it up to 115, so it's not too fast. But this becomes like another great song that we can end with. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my little drink over here, and we're going to start off with this wonderful song that I love, and I think you'll like it too. This is called Turn. This is my special remix to it. Check it out right now. Don't have to worry about that. We have super long lead-ins. This one, you'll probably get the vocal by like the second minute. Besides just those little effects. Joshua D is in the house. How you doing, baby?
I like the way you play once, I like the way you try to run
Interplanetary Network. Yes, definitely. It's a lot different than what I usually do, but I, like to try to venture out of my comfort zone once in a while and do a little down tempo. And this is a very emotional record. When I was like teasing this on the social media, I was saying that this is probably the most honest and awkward love song I've heard in a long time. And I kind of dedicated this to someone, but they don't know who it is yet. And I don't think I'm ever going to say who it is. But I do love this song. And with a lot of alternative, there's a lot of emotional records, so I have to be prepared to do some of them if I'm going to turn them into dance records. It's actually kind of funny. All the down-tempo records I've done were super, super, super emotional. Thinking about it. I did Unconditional by Saida Garrett. No, by Sinead Harnett. And I did the Griswolds, All My Friends. And now this one, the Wombats, Turn. So when I slow things down to 115, I guess the emotion and the love comes out of me a little bit. It's not just all dark and dirty. But honestly, I really do love this group and I love this song. So I just kind of had to do it. I really wanted to. And yeah, this was a little difficult to do. It really was. But not because of the topic of the music or anything like that. It's just that, there were no parts to this. So, of course, I had to use one of my favorite AIs, however you pronounce that. I never understood how to pronounce that. I just know how to go to the website. So, I played with it to get parts. And getting the acapella was actually not terribly difficult. In fact, there's beyond this on YouTube there was an acoustic version, an acoustic performance. So between those two parts, between the original that I used off the original track itself and the acoustic, I was able to kind of put together enough of the acapella to do a full vocal. I would have never wanted to do this as a dub. But the other part that was really difficult, this is such a guitar-driven song. And when I tried to get the guitar from la 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 la, everyone say it like Happy Place Traveler, la 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 la. When I tried to get the acapella, it was fine, but when I was trying to get the guitar, it got really, really murked out, and yeah, it wasn't pretty on this one because a lot of the frequencies for the guitar and the synths that they used in this record kept clashing, so you weren't able to get it clean enough. So this was another one of those instances where I had to try to create the guitar. And I think you saw me do something similar to that on Ultra Naté when I did the sequence to Free. I think I did that one last week. But I did something very similar here. I think I actually still have the actual guitar loop that I tried to get from the AI, and I realized it just wasn't going to work. So I had to get really creative. So let me look for that very quickly here. I also just took the liberty to put the guitar part that I created right here in the loop area, so I can play it for you guys by itself. But let me go through my sequence folders. And by the way, yeah, my hard drives are getting super, super full. I'm going to have to upgrade them. Does anyone have a good deal on good, 4 terabyte solid state drives? I just really need more space. More space for more music, and some of the video that I'm doing these days. That's a different story for a different day. Going into the sequences. So, we got that's Tove Lo, which I never finished. The Wombats right here. So let me what I'm gonna do, we're just gonna highlight some parts, like the acoustic acapella is right by itself here, and you can definitely hear enough of that.
I jump from thought to thought like a flea jumps to a light. You could give an aspirin the headache of its life. Maybe it's the crazy that I'd miss.
Yes, acoustic versions.
Watering plastic plants in the hope that they'll grow. Seeing a message flash and then smashing up my phone. Maybe it's the crazy that I'd miss.
Yes, acoustic versions are really, really good with these AI. So, if you're trying to do, remixes of some of the older tunes, classic tunes, especially 70s, 80s, or before, you can get really, really, really clean or close to studio quality stuff from them. So so when you see new musicians, if they have acoustic versions or stripped down versions, look to that to get parts, especially when you want the acapellas. But here's the guitar. When I tried to get the guitar, it was a little problematic because of all the different sounds that would leak from other frequencies in it. And I tried to use it, and it just wasn't working. The first part of it actually didn't sound too bad. But the problem is when it actually got into it a little bit more, which what I'll do is I will highlight it myself and show you what I'm talking about. Like this part here, the second part, where it was more like the full part of the guitar. Oh my goodness, look at this. We got legendariness in the house right now. The one and only DJ Mouse, official DJ producer from SoundGroove Records, and also the first producer to get a #1 record on TrackSource for SoundGroove Records, DJ Mouse. That is the man out of Brazil. Definitely buy all of his records, buy 20 copies of everything. Embrace him. He is amazing. And I'm looking forward to getting together with him in real life at some point, Mouse, thank you so much for being here. Total VIP. Welcome. Oh, yeah. Let's see. The new Discord link. I do have it here. For some reason, that my Discord never stays current, even though I say that link should never disappear, but it always does. But that's a new link to the Discord if you want to. Oh, excuse me. If you want to follow along with some of the stuff that I post there. I also try to post links to the replays and some other stuff. But anyhow, here's the guitar. Here's that lead guitar when you play the chorus, and you can hear how it's just there's just too many weird things going on with it. Listen to it. You can hear at some point, like some points, it just completely phases out. And like, this is like the main part of this is the chorus. You really don't want, some people might like that. In certain instances, when you're trying to make certain types of remixes, the phasing and like, the canceling of certain sounds, or when certain things leak into other parts, some people might want that. And I've actually done that on some remixes, only because it's like it does make it sound a little bit more trippier, like you're doing a little bit more interesting things with the record. But the thing is like you needed the guitar on this one to be clean, and you can't really work with it like this. See, it's too phased out. So I had to try to recreate my own guitar. And that's exactly what I did here. And this is another one of those exercises similar to what I did with Ultra Naté. You have to find the right guitar noise, and then you have to sit there and just tweak and tweak and tweak until you get something that's kind of close. So what I'm going to do is go here. My guitar parts are here. I will find out exactly which kit they're in, so that if you wanted to actually get them yourself, you can do that. A lot of these kits are available for very low prices on Loop Masters. Some of them you can actually get them free when like magazines like Computer Music decide to release like a double-sided DVD of like music samples and free plugins, or if they provide a link that you can download like 8 gigabytes of sound and musical toys to play with. But this is an electrical guitar that came from, let's see, right here. As you can see, I tried so many different types of tools and it wasn't working, but I found the right one. And it came from, believe it or not, it's called EDM Ghost Production. Now we can have a whole entire different discussion about ghost producers. But as you can see, like, we don't do ghost producers here. For those who do, that's what you do, and that's fine. But we want to actually make our own music and show how easy it is, like especially if you just are willing to dedicate the time. But it's kind of ironic that the name of the folder is called EDM Ghost Production, and this was like a melodic folder as well. So there's a lot of guitars, there's a lot of like synth pads and things like that in this kit. But here is the original loop. The way it originally sounded, so you can hear it. If you listen to it, there's some characteristics to this guitar that are similar to the guitar in this song. The way they affected and things like that. There's already a little bit of that feel to it. So I was able to take just like a simple note from it, just one note, and I was like, you know what? From there, I will play and pitch up and down and do exactly what I needed to do, and break out all the different effects. Like if I had my own like guitar effects pedal, reverb, simple to I love my reverbs. Love my simple delays. Added some extra distortion because in the original the guitar was a little distorted. Excuse me. A little flange. There wasn't a flange in the original, not too much of it, but I figured it would actually make the record sound a little bit interesting. The guitar sound more realistic if I added a little bit of a phaser to it. And then, just to make sure to control more of the audio, I used a resonant filter to just really reduce the frequencies and boost up a little bit of resonance. That way, it just forces, especially with a high pass, it forces more of that low end to like disappear from the guitar sample, so it could be like, just focused on like the elements you need to hear over the record. So without further ado, I wound up doing 2 parts for it because it sounds like he was playing, the guitar sounded like he was playing like a couple of different keys at the same time, low notes and high notes, because you have a hand that can strum on more than one string. But here it is. This is what I wound up doing, and oh my God, this friggin' thing froze again. No. We're not going through this last time. Like, that was like, it actually almost broke my stream, so we're not doing any more pointer focus. I should have learned that from last time. But anyhow, let's play the guitar that I wound up creating for this, and it's right here. So yeah, all those extra effects on that actual note that I sampled from that guitar, the electric guitar loop, helped me to create the actual guitar that was in this song. And of course, it doesn't sound exactly the same because, like, I don't have the effects pedals or that guitar, but you can make it sound similar enough so that it'll actually pass on a record. And I noticed that synth that they used while they played the guitar, that added a little bit of extra dramatics, and I got a nice synth from Pink Noise Studio. They make a couple of really good folders for synths if you really want some good sounds. They have them in 16-bit. They also have them in like 24 and 32-bit as well. If you want to bump up your sound quality in your sequences, you can totally do that. All these DAWs these days can definitely go way beyond 16-bit audio. So if you want to like have that higher quality right before you dither down for your master, by all means you can get the higher quality samples. Just make sure that of course your computer can handle it. My computer back in the day could never handle 96K or any of that other stuff. But let me see. Happy Place Traveler. What kind of guitar is that? It was just a sample. And I showed you the thing. EDM Ghost Production, Mellow Guitars. They actually have an entire folder. And in fact, I'll just show you very quickly what that folder is. They have a whole bunch of different sound effects. And yeah, that's definitely available on Loopmasters. And, obviously you don't have to be a ghost producer or make EDM in order to use any of this stuff. But, I definitely wanted to have a few more, melodic effects and melodic sounds to play with, especially now that I'm getting more into melodic and progressive, being on Twitch and stuff like that. And, it always sounds good. So here's the folder, and you can see they have a whole bunch of different things here. We can go through like one or two things over here. They have ambient noises. Let's check this stuff out. Like, for instance, you can like this. And that's a loop that you could use in anything that you want. There's other ones that are similar to that. Obviously there's guitar chords. They're dry and wet. But see, there's a lot of material that you could use with this. If this is the type of like mellow style guitar you want in a track, and you can hear that like you could use this in just about anything as is, or if you just wanted to chop out a note or two or three and just make your own chords. Here's some lead guitar. See, lots of lead guitar. And just, if you get a single note and not a chord, then you can play with those notes as you see fit and create your own chords just using it. So then you just focus more on the effect itself, like all the effects that they actually used on the electric guitar. Well, I didn't even realize they had lo-fi samples, you know. At some point, I'm going to have to try some lo-fi because I always play it on my streams and in the studio when I'm not listening to my other music. But that's normally at 95 BPMs, but they stretched it up to 115 because my BPM is at that point, which kind of shows just how much Acid is willing to stretch a sound to make sure that it fits. It's kind of funny. That's actually not bad. I can think of a record with that. Okay, don't be surprised if you hear a Midnight Society track with like a loop from one of the lo-fi things here. Some of these are actually really good. And I'm going to have to go through them just a little bit more. I'm not going to like dedicate the entire show to a whole bunch of melodic guitar samples out of one folder. We definitely have a lot more things that we can do here. But anyhow, I wanted to play the guitar one more time with the synth, because that pink noise synth is the power lead. It fills in a few extra spaces, and it makes the whole guitar part and the chorus thing sound much more dramatic. So check this out. And of course, I sidechained it as well. The only instrument that I did add to this, I mean, not mimicking. I mean, obviously, like all the instruments I added to this were my own. But like, you know, the only other actual instrument I added to this remix that wasn't in the original was a piano. I did want to have like a little bit. I figured the piano would definitely give it more of a house feel, because like, you know, it definitely is an alternative rock record without this. But I've used this piano kit many times before. The Kurz piano, it always works, and there's tons of chords. Add that reverb and add that delay, and it always sounds good. For me, I think it always sounds good. Never can go wrong with it. So I think I'm going to make this available really soon. I don't think I'm going to be able to. There's going to be no way I'm going to be able to release this. I don't think. I mean, although I am tempted to give this to the Wombats and see if they'll respond or anything to it. They might think it's completely horrible. Who knows? But I kind of like it. I hope you guys like it too. This is the Wombats. Turn, one of my favorite emotional songs from an alternative rock band over the last 5 or 6 years. It goes to show that, like, yeah, I do have a heart. It's not just cold and dark and full of evil thoughts and evil things. Although I do like the evil once in a while. But that's a whole different story. Anyhow, let's go to some other productions here. I pulled up the remix that I did with DJ producer Manny Ward when we worked together. Of course, we are Retrotech. And we did this record. We did Low by Lenny Kravitz. And yeah, it's not every day you get an opportunity to remix Lenny Kravitz or anyone on that level. But so like when we got this offer, we were like, oh, there's no way we're gonna like not give it a shot. And it was his actual first #1 on the dance charts on Billboard. Now think about how many records this man has made since the like late 80s, early 90s. Huge act. Everyone knows who Lenny Kravitz is. But prior to 2019, he never had a record go #1 on Billboard Dance. It's like the one chart that eluded him the entire time. #1 on everything but electronic dance. Well, that was rectified with this whole package of remixes. I mean, there were a whole bunch of people who got involved with it, not just Manny and myself. And yeah, we're really happy to know that this was part of that project that went #1. Yes, this would actually count as my second #1 on Billboard. The first one was with Eltar and Janine Tracy. And they're getting ready to do a new record, but that's a whole different story. I'll be talking to you about that when that happens. But anyhow, I'm going to play this one. We're going to go here. We're going to actually start it a little bit. You might have heard me play this on my show. Oh, I added a part. Don't want to do that. And right now, this is Low from Lenny Kravitz. This is the Retrotech remix. That's myself and Manny Ward. Going to play the entire mix here. We're not going to play the entire mix. This record is actually, let's see how long it is. For those people out there who, understand that I love making long records, Manny Ward does too. This was 10 and a half minutes long. So for all you people out there, yes, we make super long records. This is definitely not for those who want their records to be in and out and done in 2 minutes. It will never happen with an artist like this. Especially since we had all the original parts. We were very lucky to get so much material. We even have samples of Lenny Kravitz just freestyling on a guitar. And do you know how tempting it is to just chop up and regurgitate those guitar parts, as cool as they are, and just use them in your own tracks and be like, oh no, that we found the guitarist. That's one of the things that becomes such a struggle. In fact, we even have a track with Prince's guitar parts, and it's just as much as you want to use it, how can you, given all the circumstances? That probably wouldn't be the most ethical thing to do. So we probably will not do that. Okay, please, no peer pressure. I just don't want to. But Lenny's guitar parts, we did chop up a bunch of them here, and we were able to create this one little part right here, and it was just really cool to have that. We just needed something really simple at that point because it's like, we didn't want to use too much of his parts, but then again, it was very similar. It's very similar to what we have here. It's not like he's going to come after you. Oh, come on, but his fans will. It's kind of cool to have him, though. It's a little low. Let's see if I can try to boost the volume on this a little bit. But yeah, the guitar part, yeah, we got the left and the right for it. And then all we had to do was, yes, I am afraid of the soul of Prince. Prince will come for you, okay? Prince will come for you. He'll read that ass. He'll tear that ass away. He plays all the instruments. Come on. We will not have the soul of Prince coming into the Booty Lounge unless he's here to rock. If he's coming here to do anything else other than play music and serve, it's probably going to be pretty bad. So we are not going to do that. And actually, just to let you know, the track that we have, where we have Prince's parts, guitar parts, believe it or not, was Stand Back by Stevie Nicks. There's a whole story behind that if you don't know that yet. Which, maybe I'll pull up this sequence next week and I'll show you that, and then I can tell you the story behind it. Although you can find out how Prince got onto that record. Stevie Nicks has been interviewed, and I think those interviews are on YouTube. And yeah, I'll explain that story maybe next week if I can find this Stevie Nicks Stand Back sequence, which I'm sure we can. We had all the original parts to that as well. And on here, going back to this record, my goodness, vocals on lo-fi, how dare they? Anyhow, we got the original strings from them as well. Like, we didn't really have to do much for strings. They actually had string parts from this record. So, like, I didn't have to break out Miroslav. We were just able to play with them as we see fit, and in a way make our own pads. And from there, reverb, a little bit of volume envelopes everywhere, because it's like we tried to pretend that we were our own major, massive orchestra with a huge string section, which of course we're not. We're just the Booty Lounge. But you can get some good effects with this too. Check it out. Strings make everything sound dramatic, and I love orchestra strings. Even on electronic music, it just brings that extra depth to it, to a track.
Got to keep it low. Drop with me, let me go. Got to keep it low. Don't lift me up, lift me up. Don't lift me up, just let me up. Don't let this one around. Baby, just stay with me. Drop with me, let me go. Got to keep it low. Drop with me, let me go. Got to keep it low.
It's crazy having all these parts, and the thing is, it's like with the acapella, we had his background, we had his scats and ad-libs and everything like that. It's a lot of fun when you are able to get that much material from an artist, especially from an artist on that level. But then it becomes much more intimidating to put together the right mix, because at that point, if they give you basically their heart and soul on a bunch of files, you don't want to sit there and just do any type of like rinky-dink mix. And Manny and I worked on this one for quite a bit, going back and forth with grooves, and like he does amazing work with vocals. Like he actually created additional vocal loops and parts with some of his backgrounds that like I would have never thought of myself, but of course like he's well trained with vocals and vocal placement and arrangement, so that came in handy with a lot of the extra things he brought to this mix, including some additional beats. We kind of work together very well. That's the reason why we're still doing our thing together as Retrotech, and yeah, we got a whole bunch of other Retrotech things I want to talk about on future shows, and maybe one day we will have Manny Ward here, or we might have him remotely, and he can actually go through his entire production process, and he actually uses Ableton, so that would actually be really cool. We could see another person and their workflow on another DAW that is definitely more popular than Acid Pro, but I know there'll be a lot of people who would be interested to see how like two different workflows can come together, which happens a lot here in the studio. Lenny Kravitz, Low. I love this record. This is actually one of my favorite records to remix. We even made a Quiet Storm version where it's just vocals with the bass line and the strings and things like that. We use it as the DJ tool. Never got released. You're never going to get your hands on it. But this version of it should be available. It was part of the main vocal. The vocal anthem mix is definitely part of the Lenny Kravitz package with a whole bunch of other amazing remixes. So if you want it, you can go out there and get it and purchase a copy. It's all good. Lenny Kravitz. I hope we get to remix another record of his at some point. That would be really, really cool. But that's another discussion for another day. So, keeping on this whole level of remixes that are out and available, I'm going to pull up this project, and it's available on SoundGroove Records. And one of the big reasons why I'm pulling it up right now is because I do have a brand new EP coming out from this DJ producer out of New Jersey. But I was initially very hesitant to sign this record, only because, you know, I heard the vocal. He didn't really credit the vocal. And this was my first time realizing that like he used a royalty-free vocal on a track. I didn't know how that really worked back when I signed this record to SoundGroove, but apparently Keven Maroda did. And he found something, and he made a really, really, really nice vocal track called Mistakes. And the other reason why I'm bringing up this record is because this particular mix, my version of it, was one of the many records that were used by MTV Networks for that infamous season of Jersey Shore, when they all went over to Italy. And for some reason, that season has a lot more dance music, a lot more electronic music, and things that sound more international. And they picked a lot of records off of our label. It was actually kind of crazy. Like, I think it was like 12 or 13 tracks were actually used throughout that entire season. And they played certain songs twice or three times. Like, they used Eric Elias and Joey Alvarado's Meow like 3 times. And they used that in the background for like one of the most infamous scenes that it's like, you know, we won't get into any details on that. You know, I don't think we have any major Jersey Shore fans around here. If we did, I would probably show the clip, but they're available. They're up there. They picked this song at a particular moment where I guess two of the members were like dating and then not dating, then dating, then not dating, and they had decided at some point that they were going to give it one more chance. And I don't remember the names of the people other than Snooki and JWoww, you know, whatever their names were. Anyhow, this is my remix to Keven Maroda's Mistakes. And yeah, the bass line sounds kind of familiar. I didn't sample it, I played it, but if you know your underground records, you'll know this bass line right away. So let me get to a point where the vocal starts kicking in soon, and we'll go from there. So here we go. Keven Maroda, Mistakes, available on SoundGroove Records, one of the many records licensed to Jersey Shore season, I think it was season 4. But check it out right now. Listen.
Now please tell me why you needed to make it through. You say you just don't care, you must ride the groove. But when you drink at night, you see the dark in your eyes. So if you jumped in that car, you couldn't find your star. A highway to heaven, a highway to hell, you feel like I'm the spectre. A highway to hell, a highway to heaven, mistakes can last forever. Mistakes can last forever. Mistakes can last forever. Mistakes can last forever. Mistakes can last forever.
This was back when I played more records at 128.
You could destroy yourself for a bit of ecstasy. Thinking bottle makes you strong is absolutely wrong. But this is not the right way to work all things out fine. And you can waste away just before your time. A highway to heaven, a highway to hell, you feel like I'm the spectre. A highway to hell, a highway to heaven, mistakes can last forever. A highway to heaven, a highway to hell, you feel like I'm the spectre. A highway to hell, a highway to heaven, mistakes can last forever.
So yeah. That is Keven Maroda, Mistakes. This is my remix to it. And yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this. Kevin has never told me where he got this acapella from. And he says it's royalty free. You know, producers need to have their secrets. And I've told you in a previous show that like some of the records that I've released under Midnight Society are also royalty free vocals. Some of you might know which ones they are, but keep it a secret, because a lot of people kind of front on these ideas that like, you know, royalty free can be tacky, and maybe depending on how a producer is using them, it could be a little cliche and things like that. But there's some really good material out there, and if you find the right thing and could put together the right groove, you can make some real serious music. So much love to Keven Maroda, Mistakes. I'll play a couple of other things off of this as well. Keven Maroda has a new EP coming out very, very soon. He's done quite a few EPs for SoundGroove Records. He has a brand new one with 2 tracks. The Underground, who's is going to be one of the cuts on the EP, with a massive remix from Sketch 1. I've played it here and there and everywhere on my show, and I know Explosive Radio has. We're like 2 of the only people on the planet who have the record. Super, super exclusive. But yeah, that's going to be coming out really, really soon, along with another track called Jungle Gym, which I'm going to be remixing. And yeah, that should be hitting the label sometime very, very soon, like in September or so, right before we get ready for Amsterdam in October, which we'll talk about a tiny bit on the stream. But I want to play that bass line. Now, I actually keyed this in and I made it into my own loop. which is one of the cool things you can definitely do with this. So, like, you don't have to just use pre-existing loops. You can literally chop up anything that you want, put the loop tool around whatever part you want to create into a loop. You can, like, say if you wanted to make a 4-beat loop like this, let's see, a 4-beat loop, make sure it's on. And if you did a save as, you could literally, well, not save as, render as. So I apologize for that. Oh my goodness. Let's see this. The legendary DJ David Michael from New York City is in the house. Oh my goodness. Another one of the original members of the Quad Squad. And the reason why we have that amazing moist emote. David Michael, thank you so much for the support. 26 months in a row. Over 2 years of this chaos. You really like me that much. David Michael, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And by the way, he's an amazing producer as well. Lots of different productions and remixes. Definitely check out his stuff. He hasn't been streaming for a while because he's been really, really busy in clubs in New York City. The monster has him working overtime. But I hope one of these days he comes back to Twitch. It's always a fun time on his streams. Come back to Twitch, baby. Do a couple of things here and there. But anyhow, yeah, if you want to go back to this, like, you can literally spit out loops all day, all night from this. You can chop up things, and then you can say render loop region only, and you can take whatever parts of sequences or whatever gatherings of beats and sounds and make your own loops. So that's what I actually did on this record. I took a bass note and I basically just created the groove and bounced it out as is for what I needed it to be, because at the time when I did this remix, my machine was really, really old, so I couldn't put like a lot of one-shots and instances of a certain sound, and I knew that Acid Pro works better with loops. It doesn't take as much processing power. So I created the entire bass line and made it into a loop so that my chops and edits to it would be not as much, and that saves processing power and speed. So, but here's the bass line, and I'm wondering if anyone can reference the Danny Tenaglia record that this samples. It's not a sample. I played it, but it sounds similar. Let's see. So I'm wondering if anyone knows that bass line. If you do, I'll probably give you a copy of this record. I can give you a copy of this record, the entire project, for free if you could actually reference the Danny Tenaglia record. Since I own SoundGroove, I could actually give you this. But it's not the most well-known Danny Tenaglia record. But it was a huge hit for him back in the day. When he was playing at Vinyl and stuff like that. Simple EQ. And in fact, I actually didn't do like my traditional EQ tricks. I didn't have the cheat sheet that I use these days. And of course, my cheat sheet, the one that I'm talking about, is available in my Discord. I'll post a link to the Discord one more time. That's the current one for this week. Next week, it'll obviously be another one because that never sticks for some strange reason. But, created the bass line, put a touch of reverb on it, and it actually works very, very well. And I didn't even have like that infamous Nicky Romero side chaining plugin to help keep audio clean. So even if you don't want to use those type of plugins or side chaining or ducking or anything like that, there's still ways of being able to like make sure your audio is nice and clean so you can sequence it as is and make your tracks. But maybe one of these days we'll get like a couple of people who are really good with mastering and they can show us their processes. I know Christopher Ruiz, who I've talked about before, I think he just finished doing a whole bunch of engineering for the brand new Ultra Naté album that Ted Patterson helped produce. That's doing very well on Apple Music right now. So if you haven't heard that, go grab it right away. But yeah, Keven Maroda, Mistakes. It's on SoundGroove. If you like this record, despite the fact that it has Jersey Shore taint on it, definitely go purchase it. You'll be glad you did. Now, the fourth record, I'm going to show you one more remix before we go back to the production stuff that we started a couple weeks ago. Ooh, DJ Michael, are you a fan of Kickstarters? Well, yes. Yes, we are major fans of the Kickstart plugin, and I'm glad that you're here giving it another endorsement because you know how to make beats and make great music too. It's a very affordable plugin from Cable Guys, and yes, they did a version 2 that does that gives you a whole bunch of extra capabilities and features, and it's like highly recommended. I think you've seen me bring up that plugin every so often when you've seen some of my other remixes and stuff like that. So highly recommended. David Michael, I didn't know you used that plugin. That's kind of fierce. Anyhow, let's get back into the projects here. There's one more remix I want to show you guys, and that's before we go back to the production stuff that we started on the stream a couple weeks ago. There's only one remix contest I've ever entered into my life. And I didn't enter it just because I didn't enter it because I wanted to win the contest. I kind of entered it just because I've always wanted to remix this artist. And I figured this would be the easiest way to do it and have such access to original parts from this artist, clean studio quality parts. So many years ago, Beatport did a remix competition for Mutual Core by Björk. Now, yeah, I love Björk. I don't think there's anything else left to say about that. I absolutely love her. And an opportunity to remix one of her records, it was just like, okay, look, I just want to do this. And what I wanted to do, I actually wanted to try to recreate a lot of the types of remixes that were out of her material back in the 90s, because there was a lot of like remixes of Björk records on Elektra Records, and I'm sure you can probably think of a whole bunch of artists and remixers who touched her tracks. But then for a long time there were no mixes at all. Like, where could you find anything by, like, besides the album cuts or whatever it is, where else could you find dance mixes unless someone did a bootleg? Like, you know, Ted Patterson did an amazing remix of Björk recently. Actually it's not even recent, it's a couple of years ago. But, you know, gorgeous. And a lot of the mixes with Björk's voice sounded really cool with like a slightly 90s style house groove to it. So I kind of wanted to address that, but still make it a little bit modern. And that was kind of tricky. Although with the parts and the sound effects that we get from a Björk production are very abstract and very strange, because, you know, you can hear some of the things that she samples in her records. And to have those types of things, and it's like, you know what, that can inspire a whole bunch of other things. Like, so as you can see, you can already see that, like, I'm doing some strange, wacky things with like with like filters and envelopes here. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start playing the record right about here, so you can listen to this. And I've played this a few times on my stream. Mutual Core by Björk. By the way, this mix did not win the contest. I wasn't expecting it to win. I don't even know what actually won the contest. And it's on Beatport. I mean, I'm sure if I wanted to find it, I could. But I just really wanted to remix a Björk record. And this is what it sounds like. Here's Mutual Core. There is a part of me that does wish that this remix did win. Thank you, DJ David Michael. I had a lot of fun doing this record, and yeah, it would have been really nice if this actually won the remix contest, but I don't think they were looking for like a 90s style house mix with a twist. I'm not sure how they actually judged this, because what winds up happening with a lot of the remix contests is that they have the artist judge based on what they're looking for and what they're thinking, but then they also try to make it so that people can, like, you know, register and vote. And, you know, any contest that you have online, you can just do weird things too. So, but the thing is, I just wanted the remix of Björk record, and I can actually say that I did it. There's actually a lot of great places if you want to do remix contests. I can actually get some links over the next couple of days, and I'll show you some things, because there's a couple of places where you can get like really good clean parts. And the thing is, obviously, if you participate in the remix contest, you cannot release them, even if they win or if they don't win. Like, for instance, I cannot put this anywhere, and I haven't. I mean, I could play it, but the thing is, it's like, you know, I cannot put this up for sale anywhere. They will. I'm sure Björk will come after me in that swan dress, just ready to just ready to beat a bitch. Like, you know. Oh my God! I swore on a TOS compliant show. Is that allowed? Interplanetary Network. Yes, please. I had a lot of fun with this, and yeah, I should play this more often. I probably will. I bring it out every so often. And yeah, most of the parts, actually, let me see. Some of the, you'll be surprised when you hear like some of the parts that are actually available on this record. They gave us a lot of like very interesting parts, and it's like, you know, it makes it very interesting to do a record when you have like that type of content. And these, like for instance, these drums. Well, they called them drums, but it definitely didn't sound like a drum to me. You know, and I didn't have to do a lot of effects to it. In fact, it's just a simple delay and a reverb. But yeah, she gave us these very, very interesting parts to work with. Here's part of the drums that you might have heard in the remix. That's a little low. Let me see if I can low up. Very, very interesting. Very bizarre. Ooh, I should have used that. Oh my goodness. I should have used that in the remix. That sounded really, really cool. And that was the other reason why I wanted to do this contest, because you knew you're going to get very unique sounds. Björk is really good at finding obscure sounds and having them in her records. So like over here, tempo change is all in her record. It was definitely Mutual Core is definitely one of the most not the most common record. Well, it actually is a common record from her, but it just went in so many different wild directions. My goodness, the things you could do with this. So yeah, you can already imagine what you could do with this, depending on what direction you wanted to go on in this mix. You can go so many different ways. So you had those parts, you had the acapella. How could I at least not try it? But it didn't win, but it exists, and that's the main thing. And I do get a chance to play it every so often. So that's the most important thing, and that's what I really wanted. Björk, Mutual Core. And yeah, I probably should remaster it a little bit more and play it more often. Oh my goodness, some of these older projects. But like I said earlier, we are working on new stuff here too. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to one of the tracks that we had started. And this track started on like one of my very first test streams for production, just showing off exactly what the software can do. It was nothing beyond that, but it started to develop into a groove that I figured that we could constantly go back to and maybe develop into a full track. It's sounding very similar to a remix of a project I did back in 2003 called The New Dimension. I think I mentioned that before. By DJ Petsy out of DJ Petsy out of Portugal. The other Portuguese speaking country. But yeah, this was starting to sound really good. So like I figured we would add more to it. And right now I kind of feel like I want to add a bass line to it. Because I think with the bass line, an actual full bass line, this will sound even more interesting. So what I want to do, for all the new viewers out there who may not have heard this yet, this is one of the records that we are officially working on here on this production stream. So let's check it out right now. I want to fast forward this a little bit because with some of the sequencing that I started doing with this, I already have an idea of things to add, but we haven't added it to them yet. So it's just like a groove, and it sounds like, a little slow to get to certain parts. So let me bump this up a bit. yeah, this actually came out of us just fooling around with loops because, like, at the beginning of the show, I always want to show like the super easy basics of Acid Pro and just how easy it is to work with loops. And we wound up putting this together completely by accident, and I was like, oh wait, that groove is actually kind of nice. So we kind of saved it, and every so often we come back and we try to add a little bit more to it. This started off as a regular 8-beat groove, and now we actually have a track that has reached, let's see, about 3 minutes long, which basically means it's already perfect for TikTok. No, I won't be shady, but we already have a foundation for certain things, and I'm already thinking about, like, adding a bass line and sequencing this out a little bit more, maybe making it a little bit more dramatic with like certain elements, and add swooshes and whooshes and white noise, which I call the bitch makeup, because you gotta dress her up and make sure that she has the right transitions. But let's think about a particular bass line for this. I mean, we already have, let's see, let me take out the chill hop here. And one of these days I am going to make a chill hop record, but, we'll talk about that later. I'm going to look back at the bass line, and we already got something here that kind of simulates that when we filter this down. I think it's the sample right here. No, that's the synth that I filtered down like that. Let me see, where's the bass line? Right up here. It's the over bass, and yeah, Rick Corbo knew exactly what I was talking about when I used this, but there's already, and it's just a synth. It's a lead synth that's actually just filtered out, and then slowly but surely builds. And as you can see, all sorts of different types of effects. And yes, here it is, DJ David Michael. There's that Nicky Romero Kickstart 2. She is a fierce plugin. Buy 20 copies of it. It allows you to do side chaining super easy and for very, very cheap. But yeah, I already got something going on here that can be somewhat of a bass line. And here it is. It's an old retro bass line. I want to turn this up. There may be some parts where we can actually just use this bass line and synth the way it is, depending if we do that type of sequence with this record. That definitely sounds like a lot of fun to work with. But what I want to do, I actually want to add a different bass line, a much more simpler bass line that comes in at the 17 beat at this measure right here. It's the 17th measure, 30 seconds in. How dare me how dare me drop a bass line and it's not like 5 minutes into the record that's when you finally hear the bass line, and then 20 minutes later you hear the vocal. If we are going to make fun of my music, which I do all the friggin' time, that's what I'd be doing. But we're going to actually do something much more simpler here. So I want to go through this folder here of ELAB bass sounds. I've told many people I love these bass sounds because they're so versatile, and it's just a simple note and you can morph them into being so many different things. So what we're going to do, we're going to loop this beat here. I want to make a simple 4-beat measure here. Go right there. Turn on the loop tool. Let me get the groove together. A lot of that groove comes from this one right here, the Houston Chavalos Iberican drum. I mean, there's so much body into this. Listen to it by itself. As you can see, there's so much body and feel in that, and we don't even really edit it. So, some people will actually come out and tell you, go for it. It's royalty free. Just throw it in as you see fit. Other people will say that, you may not want it to be so obvious, especially to other producers who know where these sounds come from. And, if you survey a bunch of producers, you will find a lot of people who do know where all this stuff comes from. But, it's entirely up to you. It's really about what type of feeling you want to do, what you want to convey with these records. So there's no right or wrong way. Sometimes you can just lift it and just play it as is. Sometimes you can chop the hell out of it. And I think I've shown instances of both here. It's all valid. But anyhow, we're going to go back over in here. We got this groove going right now. And I want to find something I could use as like a very simple bass line, like a simple 2-note bass line. And I'm going to put us on 16th notes. Happy Place Traveler. If you're stuck on what other producers think, you're worried about the wrong people, unless you're wanting to make money. Somewhat true. I don't think a lot of people, gone are the days when the remixers used to get super huge budgets to do these records. Think of it this way. In the 90s, we didn't have a lot of the software and access to gear like we do now. You still had to go to the Hit Factory, Bass Hit, and all these other major studios. So that was one of the main reasons why you heard about producers like Armand Van Helden and Hex Hector and so many talented producers getting huge 5 to 6 figure budgets. Think of it this way. David Morales was able to get Mariah Carey back in the studio to recut and redo vocals of her own songs just for the remix. That didn't happen for free. I'm sure it didn't. But the thing is, they're willing to spend so much. The labels were willing to spend so much money because you had to get those major studios. The plus, I guess, the benefit and the curse to a lot of these DAWs is that now you can have that type of access and get really close to those types of results, like basic Bass Hit and Hit Factory results from your home. You can have all this gear on a laptop, and no matter where you are, decide to just set up, and the next thing you're making could be the hit that goes viral and sells 1 million copies. It's kind of nice to have that access, but at the same token, it did blow apart the whole super big budget remixes that some people were looking forward to. Lord knows, I would love to be able to get a record and have a budget of $150,000, $250,000 to produce it, but I'm not that. I don't have that access. But anyhow, let's get back into the record. I'm gonna play this. Let me find the bass note so you can actually hear some of the elap samples, and maybe the right sound will come up. I kind of like that. Something just really, really murked out. And we're just gonna, let's see. There's the full note and its meatiness. Listen to it. Oof. It has a lot of sub bass to it as well. Very, very thick, meaty sounding bass. This is a TOS compliant show. But anyhow, we're gonna pitch this down a little bit. I think that'll sound fine. And what I'm gonna do though, I'm not using the entire sound. I'm not gonna use the entire note as is. I'm just going to put it in a couple of different places on that 16th note. Let's see. Yeah, that's shorter. Something simple. We don't really don't need a lot for this. Wouldn't a TikTok mix be only 3 minutes long? I think that's too long for TikTok, actually. I thought I saw like 60 to 90-minute songs on TikTok before. I really don't understand that. And what's weird, they actually have a station on Sirius XM dedicated to, like, you know, the TikTok's weekly top 40 or something like that. And like you could literally do the entire show in 30 minutes. It's kind of weird. I never thought that records would be that short. Maybe I'm just, like, you know, being shady. I know I am being a little shady, so, you know. But anyhow, we will not be doing 2-minute records here. Those are my intros. Let's try to EQ this bass a little bit. I'm going to roll off more of that low end on the bass, just so it's like 80 and above, so you can hear the tone. The drum, the kick drum itself will have a lot more of that extra low end, so you don't have to worry about that conflicting with anything else. And now I'm going to look at my infamous cheat sheet. And once again, I did post this cheat sheet in my music production section of my Discord. There's the link if you want to download that. I do make that available for free, you know, because I was able to get it for free. And at least this way, this speeds up the process. So low end rumble on, that's electric bass and guitar. Let's go to the actual notes themselves. There's a lot of information on here that you can work with. Bass synth, low end rumble, take out below 80 hertz. And of course, that's us trying to try to simulate a little bit more of that old vinyl feel to it. Not the club, but actually playing on vinyl. You know, that way you can maintain some level of warmth to the record. Let me play this right now as is, and I'm going to take out, I'm just going to solo the kick drum and the bass so we don't get too much going on here. And what's good about that bass line, if you just wanted to do something that simple, you don't even really need to use a sidechain plugin on this one, because as you can see where the bass notes hit, it's not at the same time as the kick. So everything gets heard, and none of these frequencies are really fighting with one another. You can actually see the wave files here. You know, that's why a lot of people use a bass line like this, or they do it in a similar pattern. The kick can be as loud as it needs to be. The bass line can also be just as loud, and they don't conflict. But we're still going to do some levels of EQ with this as well. I mean, just way we can try to make it as clean as possible. Mud and warmth with bass sounds and things like that, you got to be careful. It's around 250 hertz to 500 hertz. A lot of times, if there's too many things fighting for space in those frequencies, that's how your tracks wind up sounding muddy. And it's very easy to butt up that track. I'm sure David Michael knows exactly what I'm talking about. Trying to make sure that, like, the track has enough clarity so you can hear all the elements and they don't conflict with one another. And, you know, if you're adding a lot of different tracks and a lot of different sounds, it's very easy to cloud up that space. And then if you don't do anything about it, you're like trying your damnedest during the mastering process to clean it up, and it's not easy to do after the fact. So just on default, I wind up like finding like a small little average between all the muddy areas for whichever sound effect or instrument I'm using, and I naturally just start trying to like roll off those frequencies so things can start fitting a little bit more. And yeah, let's look at the master here. It's going up to -10. Remember, you don't want it to go beyond -6 if you want to have that room for mastering, which of course we want with these types of records. Now, I mean, I can sit there and just paste that all day, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on some of the other sounds as well. Not bad, not bad, not bad. And now here is the main attraction here, this loop from the Choosers to Follows kit. If this doesn't sound right with that bass line, we definitely have to change it, because this is one of the driving factors of this track. So let's try it. actually, it does. I think it does kind of work pretty well. Let me see something here. I want to go in here, and we do have the Kickstart plugin in, and taking out quite a bit of the audio when it ducks, but not completely at 100% because I still want people to be able to hear that and feel that groove. Everything playing together, you still have like a little. Make sure you have enough headroom here. That seems to be a little loud, just for a bass line. So I wind up turning that down just a little bit because I still want to have enough headroom for different instruments, whatever that comes to mind. But what I'm going to do, since I kind of like that the way it sounds, I am actually going to spit out that bass loop. I don't necessarily need to, only because I know I can just copy elements and this machine is fast enough to deal with the one-shots. But this way we can see exactly what we're talking about when it comes to producing your own loops. So we're going to render this as its own loop. Oh my God, my hard drive is so full. That is crazy that my hard drive is so full. I am like living on the edge. It shouldn't be like this. That's bad. Never have your hard drives more than 80% full. You didn't see that. But anyhow, let's get into the sequence data. And we're going to save this bass line as a particular element in remix step. That's remix stems. I'm going to have to show you that at some point. We'll call it production 1. Production 1 loop. And it loops it very quickly. It just spits it out very quickly because now we can go into the sequence itself. Or actually, go find that sample. And thank God for an Explorer right in the program. Could you imagine we had to do this without Explorers? That would just be really, really bad. Production stuff. We do a little refresh and then, oh, it's not there. Where did I save it? Oh, it's right here. I must have named it wrong. I have no idea what's going on right now. Anyhow, we are going to add that right into the sequence. And I'm keeping note of the EQ. Not much. I can easily reduplicate. I can actually duplicate that. Remove that out of the way. Don't worry about the wave file size being bigger or smaller than what you initially heard, because you can always resample it and you can always do other things with it. Let's go back and we got this. Let's play. I definitely want to make this go at full volume, only because I know I sampled it and spit out the loop in a way that it would fit in with this kick. And now that I have the loop, it makes it a lot easier to just paint it instead of just slowly but surely taking different elements, copying and pasting. You might need to do that with certain things, but if you can cut down on that time, you'll make it a lot easier for you to make your tracks. Let's see. Let's get everything playing together. Oh, she's still looping. Okay. So that gives me a chance to like start this record from the beginning again. I'm going to try to look into other elements that I want to add to it. And of course, if you have any suggestions, any ideas for something to add to this record, this project, just let us know. You know what I mean? Nothing is crazy, too crazy to at least discuss. And you know what? It may turn into a track that I give you guys after we finish it. So definitely showcase all of your ideas here in the chat. Let us know. And if I can't find the original acapellas to the new dimension, this will definitely benefit with a couple of like acapella parts. You can find them. So what I want to do with this, we're going to change the sequence just a little bit, and the track might actually become a little bit longer after what I do here. So what I want to do, besides just cough, so I don't cough in your ear. Yeah, that would be really, really bad. Make the bass line a little heavier, Explosive Radio says. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to probably add a little bit of compression to this. That way we could get the loudness out of the bass without necessarily turning it up too much in the sequence. That way it's heard, it can also be felt, but it won't peak too much, and it will still remain, there'll still be some headroom left for anything else we want to add to the track. I know I chose a very, very meaty bass on top of a meaty drum from Chus and Savalos, so that could be, that could go in so many different directions, and we might be making a very difficult record to EQ at the end of this, but you know what? Mama doesn't mind a challenge. So I want to add this in other parts here, and that'll be fine for now. Add that. And now this part I definitely want to play with a little bit more. Okay, what I want to do now, just looking exactly where we are. Bassline comes in on the 17. Comes in really soon after 30 seconds. Is it okay for it? I've never actually had a track with only a 30-second intro unless I edit it down. I'm actually producing with this. That's kind of crazy. So the bass line comes in at 17. Then after 16 beats and going to the next one, we get the transition. We get this sound, which is definitely another bass note. I'm going to sequence that just slightly different from the way we have it. I want to play just only a certain part of it right now, because the way it is, actually I am doing that already. I've already chopped up a lot of it, which is really, really cool. That just makes it very easy to mix in and go into the next thing. So, yay, I was thinking ahead. Or maybe I just do like the type of things I like to do with records. So let's play from here. It's already chopped. Let's go. Actually, let's take this bass line. And I already EQ'd some of it beforehand before I bounced it. So I'm not going to try to roll off too much more on that. But I will add that compressor. And I'm going to do the track compressor as is. Take that out. And let's see if we bumped it up. Track by 3 dB. Yeah, this is gonna be a hard record to remix, or this is gonna be a hard record to to EQ. I can already tell. Why is that so high at this point? Let me look at it back here. So yeah, that's probably playing a little too loud. Which one of these samples is playing too loud? Let's check this out. And this is something you're going to be doing all the time when you actually are putting together records and you're trying to figure out which sound is causing the conflicts or which is making the track sound a little too loud and not giving you enough room after everything is said and done. So we got the kick playing, and that kick is kind of heavy. I usually have my kicks below 12 dB because, when you do the mastering, you have the -6 dB, you have all that room. You can compress, you can actually do the EQs and bump the frequencies from the mastering program, and that'll give you enough space to make sure everything is nice and heard and you can feel this and things like that. So you don't necessarily need the kick to be that heavy unless you just want that as an effect, and sometimes people do. So again, I'm just making suggestions. None of this stuff is set in stone. if you don't you're not a quote unquote, you are still a producer and someone who makes music. Even if you don't agree with a single thing that I said, just go out there and do it. That's the main thing. So I lowered the kick down. I know this kick has a tendency to get a little louder when I master, so I don't mind dropping it down to -13. So like now that kick is going on, we're gonna take this house beat. Let's see here. We do have a Nicky Romero thing going on here. So that is taking out some of that kick. We probably just need to lower the volume a little bit because you do have high end. You do have some hats on that you want to hear. So we can also boost. Yeah, we didn't do much of that. We didn't do much EQing to that at all. Interesting. So let's try to adjust that a little bit. And okay, of course, the high end, what I did, I already rolled off 200 dB on that, or 200 hertz, sorry, 200 dB. Let me recognize my letters. Can I actually read? Let's put this up and make it a little brighter. I want to be able to hear those hats a little bit. And on 3, we'll get to 1500. What did I do before? No, we can do that like a little bit more this way. And maybe bump it up to 3 dB so we can hear that more. You can definitely hear it a little bit more from that. 1500 on band 3, if I knew how to type. And what I want to do, I want to make sure there's a little bit of extra presence in this. And yeah, you can definitely hear it's a little bit brighter now. And of course, because I'm afraid of everything being muddy, I can take that to 375. Probably don't have to like dip that sequence, that area of EQ too much with this. But now we got more of a hat that can be heard. And we'll keep it there for the time being, because this is going to be the make or break loop. This Juice and Sopalos groove, it's really meaty and heavy. Looks like I already did some things to that. So yeah, I already rolled off on that, the one at 100 dB, made some brightness adjustments there. That's not a bad groove. And then of course the cowbell, because someone said gotta have more cowbell. I would never say no to cowbell. So now let's add the bass line and see just how much more this peaks. So we're already at -10. Yeah, that's still heavy. So we're gonna turn that down, definitely. Especially now that we have the compression going on. You can still get that volume. You still get the loudness without it actually like conflicting with the mix too much. Now see, the way I tuned it down just enough, we still have like more than 3 dB to add more sound effects, instruments to fill up that space. But the bass can be felt a little bit more because of that compression. Like if I take the compression out, you'll see what I mean. You see how much lower it becomes because of the track compression is gone? Doing a 3-to-1 on bass will actually bring that up. And a lot of producers do use track compression on vocals as well. It's a way to be able to create more loudness in your tracks without necessarily turning up master volume, or actually the gains or the track volumes themselves. And sometimes they can save the mix, because if it's too loud, that might be a little too much. So let me turn that back on and let it play again. I'm liking it. This sounds similar to a bass line that I did with simple bass line that I did with Manny Ward on a remix to see, Kiwi Dreams a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, which was Grammy. Oh, crazy record that was Grammy considered at one point, which, you know, I don't think I'm ever going to win an award for something like that, but that's a different story. Let's get into this bass line again and just play. So at this point, I want to bring in the other bass line or not the bass line. It's like I'm using it more like a synth. It is a bass, but I'm trying to make it more like a lead synth, which is why we took out a lot more of the low end on it. Or I should take out more of the low end on it because I didn't. That's actually really, really good. That's actually a good point to make here. So like, let me isolate these two elements here. So when I did this, apparently I did it thinking that was going to be the bass, and I kind of want this to be more lead synthy because I already came up with a meaty bass down here. So if we have two meaty basses conflicting with one another, that's a lot. In fact, like, although you can actually hear it, those two things together, once you put the kick on top of that, it becomes a little bit harder to hear. You see how sometimes the kick tries to conflict versus some of the bass noises that are trying to conflict with it as well? You know, there's a lot going on there, and that's how you can easily make a track sound a little too muddy. And what I want to do is just slight things so that like they're not fighting, but you can still hear what you need to hear, and that will make the track, I think, will make the track sound better. If it sounds worse, let me know. You know, a lot of this is just trial and error. So we're gonna go into this uber bass. And I definitely EQ'd that to be like a bass synth. Now I'm going to try to like a bass synth. So let me get the right area here so I can try to make this more like a lead. Because it definitely has some parts in there that would sound really good if we tweaked them a little bit when the track is building. Lead synth. So we're going to take off more low end rumble. So let's reset some of this stuff. Reset. So now we're going to go back here. We're going to bring this up to 160 and roll a lot of that off. And don't worry, you know, you can always remove. You can also move all these different points here. I do kind of wish this plugin gave you more than just 4 points, but like, you know, it's the one that comes with the program. And if I wanted that much more control, I'd buy a VST that gives you that much extra access, as you would say. Take care of the mud. This is definitely going to be something you want to do with a lot of your bass lines, especially with kicks. You want to make sure that that muddiness is under control. And I'm going to, like, you know, put that around 275, and we will dip that by like -2, -3, so it's more of a tone right now. Go here. You need a little bit of presence with it, so we'll bump that to 2500 if I actually knew how to type. Okay, what did I do? That's what I did. Let's see. Sequence 3, 2500, 250. Why are you like acting so weird? Oh, because it's over the number 4. Number 4 is in the same area. Okay, that's the reason why I didn't see that. That's kind of weird. Number 4, the 4th band, we're gonna like boost up the clarity on that one. So, slight booty glitch. There you go. And then we'll go back here and do 2500. For a second there, I thought I was losing my mind. Bump that up a little bit. The clarity. I want to do something a little bit more interesting here. We'll go there, and we're going to just use not a shelf. We're just going to use a band. I'm going to bump it up to 4,000. Well, actually, that's not good for that. 3,000. And they're like right on top of one another. So let me go back here. I bumped that up too high. Bring that to 1500. That moves it into space. That gives it more character. And what I want to do, I want to increase the bandwidth just a little bit more so it can get a little bit of a tail into that presence feel. I want you to be able to know that bass line is there without it conflicting too much. Number 4 is between 3,000 and 4,000 hertz, kilohertz for clarity. So let's put that right smack in the center. And bump that up by 2 dB. Now, usually, you know, I'm just doing ballpark guesses right now with some of this. And you can always just adjust it as you see fit. And yeah, here we go. DJ David Michael, I'm sure you have a lot to deal with a lot of the muddiness. Let's see. Best trick I've learned when tackling muddiness. Take a break and revisit with fresh ears. That ear fatigue is no joke. Everything blends together after a while. And that is 2,000% correct. That's why I wind up doing these production streams for only a couple of hours. Because it's very easy to just hear the same grooves over and over and over again, and your ears just become saturated with that sound, and it's really hard to tell the difference. You need to be able to take a break from it and then come back with a fresh set of ears. Or if you want to do a longer session, just make sure to change up the songs that you're working on. Like there was one time I did go to LA and I was doing a production sequence. I was working on a remix with DJ Paulo, and he was the type of person who could do like remixes all day. But the thing is, he would always change up the remix every 1 to 2 hours so that the ears would be listening to a completely different sound, a completely different organization of those beats and grooves and things like that, so that your ears are forced and your mind is forced to listen to it differently, because it's not the same groove that saturates your ears. And yeah, there's like some validity to all of that stuff. You know, that way, I mean, if you definitely need to work on more than one remix, switch it up every couple of hours. But if you can give your ears proper rest, that is always going to be the best. So yeah, take a step back from the DAW. Take a step back and don't just sit there and just like try to power through every single one of your records. I mean, sometimes it happens that way. I do have to admit, I did like a Janet remix in like 16 hours. Like, I had to do it. It was done. I was just obsessed. But like, you know, in retrospect, I should have rested my ears a couple of times. I just wanted to be first to have the remix. Let's see. Let's go back to this bass line. And if we go over 2 hours, it doesn't matter. I mean, what else am I going to do here other than, like, you know, order some Chinese food and go to sleep? But right now, we're going to go back to the bass line. And I tried to make this more lead synthy. And so I did all the adjustments. And let's see if I can try to make this fit a little bit better now. See, it's much cleaner now. If you want to hear this, that's this overbass without the track EQ, and without the resonant. You can just hear it and you can see. If you have the right type of speakers or the right type of headphones, you can definitely hear a little bit more of a clash with some of the low end on that. And just by rolling off certain frequencies, you can clean it up, but you can still hear it. You can still hear what needs to be heard. And that's the key with like a lot of these records. You know, if you're going to add an element to this, they got to hear it or they got to feel it. And it cannot distort. You know, you don't want it to distort your mix. Notice how like we got all this going on right now, and the master volume here is very happy. It's still well below -6. Just with those things playing right now. We'll add the extra loops to it. Let's move back a little bit. Let's see, we're still around the -8 land. So like, yeah, the mix is actually doing really well here, at least for me. Again, you know, when we have the mastering program, you have that negative 6 dB. You can definitely boost up volumes. You can compress more. You can do more mastering, and then that will bump it up to that negative. That will bump it up to 0 the way you need it to. So, like, even if you want to, you can drop down that bass just a tiny bit so it's not too heavy. Yeah, I think that sounds really cool. Now, what's going to happen here, and I think what we're going to do is make those adjustments a little bit right before we call it a day or call it a night for the show. The infamous chords, and yeah, I did not pull these chords intentionally. Remember, I was just like playing around with a bunch of infamous loops when I was first trying to play this, do this sequence. But then when I heard the chords, it did remind me, yeah, I used these exact chords on DJ Petsy's The New Dimension, that remix for Magna Recordings. And yeah, I don't mind using them again. It sounds real sexy. That lushness. Super, super sexy. We like sexy here at the Booty Lounge. Yes. Anyhow, there are some things I did not do to this sample, so I'm going to do that right now because it's definitely a pad. We are rolling out properly at 160 right there. Take care of the muddiness there just in case. You know, if it turns out that we don't need it, we can always like readjust that. But like, you know, I always have a tendency to think things are muddy. And that's one of the things about this particular DAW. Like, you know, it's doing so much with audio. There is sometimes a problem with like making things sound like they're too boxed in on the master. So like if you take your time to like deal with that sound, those types of boxed in sounds before you get to that point, you can keep your tracks sounding clear and have the proper brightness, not too much of it so it's too shrill, but enough brightness so that you can actually just go along and just play it. But you know, you wind up learning the little quirks and the, like, you know, the pluses and minuses of every DAW. There's no such thing as a perfect DAW that just gives you the perfect sound every single time. I wish there was. I would use it. But anyhow, let's see. Have you placed Traveler? Okay. Can you put this up tonight? So we can hear the entire thing. Well, I am gonna post up the VODs, and this is actually a really good time to promote this. Because we do know that the VODs, the videos on demand, have a limited time span on Twitch. But luckily for me, these are all lasting right now on YouTube. So I am posting a link right now. You can watch all of the videos thus far that we've done, including the 3 test streams right before I gave the show the infamous title. You can actually watch them as many times as you want on YouTube. And I'm going to add more and more and more to that. And eventually we're going to have to do some TikTok content, but that's going to be a chore. I might try to like hire some kids and offer them a Nintendo to help me do some of that. But anyhow, yeah, those things are going to be available. And yeah, let me get back into this this pad synth just a little bit before we wrap up. So we took a little bit of that muddiness out there, and it also talks about adding thickness. Hey, look, there's a lot of things I would have done for a Nintendo back when I was a kid. But back when I was a kid, because this is a TOS compliant show, a kid, emphasis on the kid. I actually have a funny story about that, but I'll share it later. Maybe by the end of the show, who knows? Okay, so they say something about thickness here. My God, I am just not going to get through this show without any innuendo, am I? You can be careful. We don't want to add too much of that because it gets cluttered, so we're not going to deal with that right now. And I'm just gonna play this chord, make it sound a little bit. Let's see it with the kick right now. It's liking it. It's liking that. And we do have a little bit of a side chain going on here. We got the kickstart. I do the kickstart nice and light. This is how it just, you don't have too many things hitting on the 1, 2, 3, 4. You take out some of the other instruments, just duck it enough so that they can all play, and you get exactly what you need to hear without it being too cluttered. We don't like it. We don't like a cluttered booty. It's after 11. It's after 11 in Boston. TOS goes NSFW. Oh God, could you imagine? Oh my God. Okay, yeah. Let's just move this stream to OnlyFans, and we can just do a really dirty, naughty stream. Y'all don't want to see that. Trust me, you don't. Really. But anyhow, I am going to take this synth. Well, this pad. We're going to take the kick, make sure that she's on. She is on. And the bass. And now let's play these three things together. And then if it's sounding right, we'll add more to it. And then make sure that this is sounding the way it needs to sound. And what I may do for my own solo homework assignment is sequence this out a little bit more so that when we come back to the next show, you'll see that there's more to it. And yeah. Okay, so let's start playing it now so we can hear it with our own ears. Right from here. Oh my God, have I been talking this whole time? I have been talking this whole time with my mic muted. I really apologize, guys. Yeah, that link to Cable Guys. Oh my God, booty glitch. That link to Cable Guys I did post on the stream here, and make sure to support them. They do amazing work, and they make their plugins very, very, very affordable. So yeah, no reason to try to bootleg and crack stuff. At some point, you do have to pay for some of the stuff that you're using here. And if you can get it for a low price or an affordable price, that's better than trying to mop everything. Notice I said mop everything. Okay. I do know people use cracked plugins. We all have at some point. Let's be honest. But once you start going a little bit further on in the industry, and especially when you need to support independent artists and producers, definitely support. And $16 for a good sidechaining plugin, that should be affordable. Anyhow, oh my God, Happy Place Traveler. Anyone else from the stream says that it's audio video is frozen, please let me know. I just want to make sure that my stream is still going proper. Goodness, this is kind of crazy. It's all good on there. Happy Place Traveler, try to refresh really quickly and see if that works for you. What I want to do with this bass line, instead of it making it into a loop, what I want to do, I want to turn that into a beat mapped loop, because sometimes what happens is that there's a little bit of wobbliness that comes through when you're trying to loop certain things, and if you do it beat mapped, especially if you have the space on your computer for it, you don't have to worry about it stretching because you actually set the BPM to it. And when I bounced out the bass line for this, I made sure it was already at tempo, so there will be no stretching that has to be done to this. So that might actually make the bass line sound a little cleaner. Just a little bit cleaner. But then you have to be a little bit more clever with your editing, as you can see here, because it's going to play it exactly how it is on the file itself. Once the song, once it ends, you have to clean up everything else. So I don't mind chopping, as you can see. Chop everything. But yeah, I'll deal with that part as part of my homework. I'm not going to sit here and just do all this cleaning up for you guys. I want you to hear the bass lines. And we got that going. Now let's turn back on this synth. This pad synth. Yeah, that sounds good. I like that. Let's see. Now let's add that other bass note, the bass sound that we had, that we're now turning more into a lead synth, and see how that sounds over everything. I kind of like that. What do you guys think? This is 4 a.m. music? Yeah, I like it deep. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. We like it deep inside the booty lounge. I think, what was it? Jack Chang made that joke about it, that if we made deeper house records, we could call the show Deep Inside the Booty. Yeah, we're not gonna do that here, but it just needed to be said, just so it's out there in the cosmos. David Michael knows exactly what we're talking about. So deep, so fierce, so moist. Where's Benji Bradshaw? We can get Benji to sing some vocals for us while we're making records for her in real time. So let me try to add all the other elements to this and make sure this sounds good. There's the cowbell. I still have to admit, I was very happy when someone said we should add more cowbell to the track. I would never say no to cowbell. But let's add some of the other elements. Gonna turn down the bass just a little bit more. And now the infamous juice drums. We're still underneath negative 6 dB, so we're still doing good here. Now the cowbell. So we got that going on. And now this other event. So let's sequence this out a little bit more. Oops, that was the wrong button. Let's add more of these elements throughout this, because I know we filtered all those other parts. We filtered. Let's go here, let's go here. Just add them where it needs to be added. Sequence right there. And we'll turn on the string. Okay, we're already seeing it right now. With everything playing right now, we got some stuff that peaked above negative 6. So we definitely want to do revisit some of the other instruments that we added and make sure that we tame the EQs and the volumes on that, so that we're not getting this. Because if we start doing the mastering on top of that, if we're getting frequencies above negative 6, we can get those nasty clipping noises that we just don't want to have in our records. Yeah, I'm probably sure that the parts where it started going above negative 6 dB had something to do with the filtering. Yeah, when you do a lot of filtering, especially like on Acid Pro, what winds up happening is that when you're sweeping through certain frequencies, especially with a certain amount of resonance, it starts getting a little louder in certain parts. And the main ways to try to control it is to either have another volume envelope. And I've done that many times before, where it's just you know what, I know it's gonna give you that little tweakiness that sounds cool with filters, but you don't want it to be too shrill. So then you just use the volume envelope and just drop it out just in those particular areas. Or you could just do that. That's just one way to deal with it. I mean, there's a lot of different ways of dealing with it. Let me see. Let's see if we can capture that before. Well, let's see if we can deal with that right before I call it a night. So let's go here. And we're going to listen to this filter a little bit here. I'm sure there's some tweakiness over here. And of course, we got a lot of things going on in here. Am I talking again without the mic? My God. I want to have to figure out a better system for this so I can know exactly when the mic is on and the mic is off. So, let's play. There we go. The mic is off again. This is going to be a weird VOD. I will definitely figure out exactly what's going. A better system for the mic. Can't try to control everything off this stream deck. And yeah. Turn that down a little bit. Let's see. Now we're going to add all the other elements to it. Let us control it with redemption points. Can I trust you guys with redemption points? What would you do to me? I was actually talking to another streamer about, like, you know, letting people who view the stream control more aspects to the stream. Like, they can control the mic. They can actually control the pitch of a record. Like, you know, that could be a little dangerous, especially with a place called the Booty Lounge. But yeah, I will definitely work on a better system so I can keep a better track of this mic, because I hear everything in my headphones. And I mute and I turn off the microphone through the stream deck. And that only works to some degree, obviously. But the interesting thing is, with just a few little changes that we made with volume, we actually now have a mix that stays underneath -6 dB, and that's exactly what I wanted. You definitely want to keep that headroom. Not bad, not bad at all, not bad at all. We'll let it play one more time. Yeah, let me just play this one more time with the bitch makeup up here. Let's see what happens. Make sure nothing peaks. Rupak KM, thank you so much for the resubscription. So yeah, we do have the volumes more under control now with this mix, and we did add that bass line, which is something I definitely wanted to do on this track. I will definitely sequence this out a little bit more, and I really want to dig through and try to find my samples to the new dimension, because I would add more of those to this mix, and we can make this like an official, unofficial remix of it. It would actually even be really cool if I can get Magda Recordings to release it and still give this out to you guys as a promo. Wouldn't that be sweet? Anyhow, yes, this is saved. I will play with this a little bit more, so the next time that we meet, there will be more to it, and I can show you some of the extra changes that we made and some of the other effects, that we can talk about what we like, what we don't like, and continue to make music together inside the Booty Lounge. Anyhow, there were a couple of things I wanted to show you on online before I called it a night. So let me call up my web browser here. Once again, I do have all the replays for Inside the Booty Lounge, the production stream, including the test streams when I was first just trying to come up with a concept and an idea. They're all available on YouTube. Luckily, YouTube has not muted a single one of these things yet, so like knock on wood, we can keep doing this until they start being nasty. This is just another alternative because we do know that the VODs on Twitch are limited to like 30 to 60 days, depending if you like pay for their turbo service or something like that. But here is the link for people who want to actually watch these shows again with all of its glitchiness, including me talking into my microphone in ways where you can't even hear it, but I can hear it in my own ears and I think I'm fierce. You can watch all of that here. So, in fact, I'll be adding this show to the list as soon as we're done. The other thing that's going on here, and Explosive Radio's laughing at me. Who are you laughing at? Some of the things that are going to be happening over the next couple of months, and I definitely want to talk about them. TwitchCon. I was actually really, really impressed with TwitchCon in Amsterdam to the point where I'm really considering San Diego. And powers that be, I'm working with some people. Hopefully I can actually create a really nice streamer event for DJs down there. TwitchCon is coming October 7th to the 9th, San Diego Convention Center. I mentioned it because in Amsterdam, they definitely made their nods to wanting non-gamer content. They had two major stages for musicians, one really, really large DJ booth. Let's see. You're letting us know that Twitch isn't muting out the audio, and it's helping in knowing how to get around that happening. Yeah, there is ways of getting around it. It doesn't do that with a lot of music. I mean, the more mainstream the song, the more chances it will be muted. But if you're playing more underground music, or if you're doing your own remixes, you may be able to get away with it. And truth be told, you'll get away with it more on Twitch than you will on YouTube. That's just goes without saying, and I've done a lot of tests on that, so I know that for certain. But yeah, there are definitely ways around it, and yeah, there's people who make content who are deliberately trying to make it so that you can use it without takedowns or anything like that. So that's another discussion for another day. We can actually have a whole show about that. Well, part of a show. I'm not going to bore you like that. But anyhow, let me get back to this. TwitchCon San Diego. Definitely consider it. Lots of great musicians that I met in Amsterdam, and I'm sure the numbers are going to be up tenfold for at least the American and the American, Canadian, and Mexican, and more people on our side of the globe. And I wouldn't be surprised if people fly over for this one because, it's San Diego. It'll be kind of fun. October 7th to the 9th. If I do get that event put together, as we put it together, I'll let you guys know, because it would be fun to see some of you guys over there if you decide you want to go. And also happening in October, it's not, you know it's coming, the legendary Amsterdam Dance Event. That is going to be happening actually a couple of weeks, like a week and a half after TwitchCon. This is obviously going to be a much bigger deal if you want to get that international sound. And yeah, they're hungry. They had to shut down for a bit because of the pandemic. Last year's event was good, but there were curfews to shut certain things down. We had to get all our parties done by midnight, which was a little strange, but it was still fun. I think they're going to go full blast with this year. And there's a lot of great panels. It is definitely a conference that I say that if you've never been to before, don't go just for the parties. Make sure to go register, get the full experience, or get as much of it as you can, because there's great networking opportunities, and they add your name to a database with all sorts of industry, but basically a whole bunch of industry people from all over the world, and it's sorted by category so that you can actually know who to reach out to. Like if you want to talk to other event organizers, or if you want to talk to more vocalists, or if you want to talk to people who work in radio or whatever it is, they sort it out really nice and neat with the Amsterdam Dance event. There are definitely ways of doing this on the cheap. Trust me, I always have to do it on the cheap. But yeah, talk to me if you're going to be going out there this year, because we will be out there. I'll be out there with the GDE crew, and we'll be doing our LGBTQ events, including the Women of House, Sounds of Blackness. We'll be doing a mainframe party out there, and we're actually going to be teaming up with David Ohana Aviance of Aviance Records. So it's going to be Aviance Records and SoundGroove Records doing a party together. Rumor has it that the Sounds of Blackness party this year is going to be a boat cruise. Yeah, you heard that right. A boat cruise. So that's just going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun and then some. And yeah, the Women of House is one of the most exciting parties that happens out there. There's always a line down the street for it. And the women go completely insane behind those decks, and they turn it the F out. It's always a lot of fun. Among a bazillion other events and panels that are going to be happening, technology rooms, etc., etc., definitely consider it. And again, ask me questions. I will definitely give you some ideas on what to do, where you might be able to stay. And yeah, register for this conference if you want to go. I definitely think you'll really like it. But anyhow, we are going to call this a night because it is 11:35. It's a little bit after 2 hours, and I need to get some food. That's why I'm making all these mistakes with the mic and all this other craziness. But anyhow, we are going to try to do another stream throughout the week. I want to do 2 production streams a week. Monday is always a good night. It seems like that's been working with us very well, working for me. So we'll do Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have been testing out Thursdays, but I think we might have to move Thursdays. I'll talk to Explosive Radio about that, because I think he has another big thing planned for Thursdays soon. And, no conflicts. We're all working together here. But until something happens, I will post information on the socials about the second day for this week. And we'll revisit this track and the other track that we started about a week ago. And we'll also go through some remixes. If there are any particular remixes you want to see the sequences for and go through in a little bit of detail, let me know in my Discord. Once again, the Discord link is there. And of course, don't forget, we have merch. Merchandise. You can buy some clothing. You can even buy this coffee mug that I've been drinking out of. Yes, a Booty Lounge coffee mug. Ain't she cute? All the stuff is available on my page right now for SoundGroove Records. It's all sponsored by my label. T-shirts, hats, coffee mugs, stickers, and yes, there is an Inside the Booty Lounge t-shirt. Someone twisted my arm and made me make one, so it's there. All of it can be found at soundgroove-records.com/store, or you can scan that QR code if I didn't shrink it too far, and it'll take you directly there. And yeah, we got a whole bunch of records coming out on that label too. A whole bunch of records going to be coming out over the next month or two, getting ready to go into the conference. So we'll talk about that later. But anyhow, we need a raid suggestion. And I think Explosive Radio said there was someone worth raiding. Are they still up? We'll see. Let me bring my browser window over here so I'm not doing anything too shady. We're not going to talk about people that we do or do not like streaming. We're a happy streamer family. But to be honest with you, I see someone that I would actually like to raid right now. I met him in Amsterdam, and he actually flew over from Canada. I think he's from Canada. all these DJ streamers from Canada. But I did meet him, and I think we should go support him. DJ Rich Glow is playing right now, and he is a really nice and funny guy on top of everything. And he just finished doing like a whole bunch of festival things, and is taking it easy for a little bit. But I think I'm going to try to twist his arm and try to get him to go to Twitch in San Diego maybe even to ADE. I think he and his wife were going to go. I think they were in Detroit too, so explosive. You might have walked right by Rich Glow and not even realize it. But anyhow, we're going to go over there, and we're going to let his music rock you guys into Tuesday. And the next time you'll see me here will be on Wednesday. It's part of High Five Wednesdays, DrumNation Daytime. It'll also be broadcasting on 102 DLG Radio in Orlando, as it always is. But until then, you guys, as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I will see you then. I'll see you next time. See you Wednesday. And stay tuned to my socials. I'll let you know when the second production stream this week will happen. Until then, stay tuned for the raid, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye, guys. Stay tuned for the raid. And make sure to give him all sorts of love. He deserves it. On we